everyone, and welcome to Bluegrass Planet Radio. I'm your host, DJ Delta Dawn, and I am so glad to be here with you on a Monday night, and I hope that your week is off to a great start. It was another gorgeous day here in North Carolina, and if you're in this part of the world, man, we had a wonderful spring-like weekend. It was just enough to tease us and get us all excited about the upcoming Bluegrass Festival season, and I know I'm excited, and it's not that far away, but, you know, it's going to get cold again this week. I'm like, no, boo-hiss, go away winter. So I know many of you out there share my sentiment and can't hardly wait for spring to get here and Bluegrass Festival time and just it's just such a wonderful time of year. And so hope that your Monday's been awesome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. If you're brand new to our program, welcome aboard. We're so glad to have you here, a part of the Bluegrass Planet family, and thank you for checking us out. And tonight I'm so excited. We have had this gentleman. We've tried to get him scheduled, and we've had a couple of things technically, logistically, that just hasn't worked out. We finally have him here tonight. He's on the line. I'm so excited because he is one of my favorite artists and going. He's got a brand new solo project out that is just really getting a lot of great reviews, and not only that, but he is one of the founding members of the bluegrass band Balsam Range. And I want to give you a little background on this gentleman because if you know anything about him, you know that he is no stranger to the bluegrass music scene. He has been around for a good while. He has played with all kinds of artists. I mean, collaborated, written, I mean, you name it, he's done it. And not only that, but he is a Grammy Award nominee and a recipient of 2 International Bluegrass Music Association awards, including the Album of the Year award and Song of the Year, and he has appeared countless times on WSM's Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman Auditorium, CMT, GAC, and many of the world's most famous venues and networks. And currently he records and tours as a full-time founding member of Balsam Range, and with all sorts of collaborative efforts each year. And not only that, but he is proud to have taken his blend of country, bluegrass, Americana to 49 states, as well as across Canada, Mexico, Bahamas, Jamaica, Haiti, Australia, and all over the world. Man, I would love to have been a stowaway in his suitcase just to go see some of the places he's been. And but his current project, a brand new release called Things Left Undone, let me tell you, if you don't own this, you definitely need to add this to your collection, because on this album, he has special guests such as Rhonda Vincent, Carl Jackson, Steve Sutton, Tim Surratt, John Driscoll Hopkins, Bobby Hicks, Milan Miller, Jennifer Nicholson, Audie Blaylock, Eddie Rose, Mike Ramsey, Aaron Ramsey, David Johnson, Steve Thomas, Tony Kreisman, Jeff Collins, Griff Martin, Kevin Sluter. Lots of familiar names to the bluegrass community, and I tell you, to have this kind of talent on your album, this gentleman definitely has made his mark in the world of bluegrass music. So without further ado, I am very proud and honored to welcome to our show tonight Mr. Darren Nicholson. Hello, Darren.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm so excited to be on here.
I'm excited that you're here as well. It's been a little while coming, and I tell you, between your new album release, playing with Balsam Range, touring, and everything else you've had going on, it's a real honor for us to even have you here tonight, because I know how stretched thin you have been, especially of late. So thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for playing bluegrass music. We love you.
Well, thank you. It's a real thrill and privilege to do it. I love bluegrass, and we were talking before we went live. I grew up a Carolina girl, born and raised here, and man, bluegrass has kind of been in my blood from the word go, and it just continues. And I want to first off congratulate you on the release of Things Left Undone. Man, this is a great project.
Thank you so much. It's been a labor of love. It's been about 8 years since I've done a solo release. We just finished the 5th Balsam Range album in the studio, and it was just time to do another solo record. Still playing with Balsam Range, still firing away with those guys, but it was just time to do another solo release, and got a bunch of the good songs and good players on there that I wanted, and we recorded it last year during the heat of our touring season. So it was a very busy time, but really, really proud of it.
Well, and you should be, because this is a great album. This is one of those, I've listened to it so many times I've lost count, and it's part of my personal collection of favorite bluegrass albums, not only in general, but just of all time. I mean, it is definitely you did such a good job on this, and man, I want to know, as I know many of your fans and listeners would like to know, how in the world did you pull off getting some of the incredibly talented people on this project that you did?
Well, you know what? I'm just really lucky. Over the years, I've got to do a lot of fun, good records with my buddies, and basically everybody who's on this record is a personal friend of mine, and so it wasn't really hard. I just blackmailed them and called on a bunch of my friends.
It's always easy when you can pull in the blackmail, isn't it?
Yeah. You just got to blackmail them. It's really easy. But I'm just kidding. The folks like Rhonda Vincent and Carl Jackson, Steve Sutton has been my best friend for a long time, and I think he's the greatest banjo player in the world. And he just absolutely wore it out on this record. But he was Rhonda's first banjo player when she got back into country music or bluegrass out of country music, and Carl Jackson and I did many, many records together. Bobby Hicks and I were in a band together for a while, and it was just basically when I put this group of songs together, I got to thinking about who I would get to really make the song sound the best, and so there's a little bit of country flavor on there, traditional country music, bluegrass, and so I just got the folks that, I thought would really, really nail the song, and it turned out I just chose all the right folks.
No doubt about that. I mean, take one listen throughout the entire album, and you immediately get that. You get that about it. And yes, lucky you. I mean, such great musicians on this project, and not to mention your incredible talent being added to it. It just turned out so lovely. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I love the best, besides the album itself, is the cover art on this thing. Talk about where the picture was taken for that, because I love the fact that, of course, being a North Carolina gal, I love anything North Carolina related. So I love the NC on there, and the fact that you just kind of added that in so subtly. And it's just the perfect, I love the cover. It turned out so well.
Well, thank you, Dawn. I'm really, really proud to be from Western North Carolina. I live in Canton, which is Haywood County. That's where all the Balsam Range guys live. We're about 20 minutes west of Asheville. We're between Asheville and Tennessee if you're on Highway 40. And what you're talking about earlier, in North Carolina, you go around the world and people love bluegrass music, but around here it's a culture. It's what you grow up on. And, everybody in my family played music, and really this album is really about who I am, and it's about what kind of music I like and what I grew up on. And, the cover art was really, there's a great photographer in our area named Ashley Evans, and she's been doing live shots of us when I got my first mandolin when I was, 17 years old. She's ever since then, she's been taking pictures for us. But that was one thing she and I were talking about was, everybody gets music digitally now, and the whole world misses out on what we grew up on, which is album art. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to make sure that we captured a bunch of pictures of us recording the album, of us in the studio, and us having fun, because it's a fun bunch that I make music with, and we have a good time, and that we wanted that to be captured in the actual project itself.
Mhm. Yeah, and what a great way to do that, to capture it, because you're so right. I mean, with the digital age being what it is, a lot of people are emailing, their whole albums, just send in a link and you go download it. And yes, a call saver, but I think that there's a great appeal still and a great demand still out there for, CDs in, physical form that you can put in your hand, you can open. And I love the fact that you've stayed true to the whole original concept of a CD with the packaging and everything, because I've seen a lot of artists are going now to just a mere sleeve, and with the CD inside, and you got front and back, but there's no bells and whistles anymore. It's amazing how it's kind of really gotten pared down from what it used to be.
Well, there's a lot more that goes into an album. There's you hear a record and you're like, well, you either like it or not, but that artist has spent a whole year working and recording and scheduling dates, scheduling people. And I remember as a kid getting my dad's, 78s or 8 tracks or whatever, and there was a whole different world. It wasn't just about the music. It was seeing Flatt and Scruggs. It was seeing Jimmy Martin. It was seeing the Osborne Brothers in the studio and a picture, and it kind of tied it all together. And it was like, oh man, these guys, that's what I want to be, that's when I saw the Osborne Brothers standing in front of 20,000 people singing, I was like, you know what, that inspired me to want to, play music. And so it's more than just the music, and that's one thing I do miss is album art. And we got a bunch of fun pictures in there, and it tells, who played on the song, what they played. And that was another thing, too. I was so engrossed in country and bluegrass music when I was a kid. I wanted to know who played on that record. And that's just part of it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for keeping that and preserving that, because, you and I and many others like us know all too well that was kind of, for me, when I would go buy a new album, and going down to what used to be record stores, which are obsolete now, that was the whole appeal, was when a new album came out, wondering what that album art was going to look like, once you got the packaging off and you start looking inside it and just seeing who was on an album. I mean, man, that was kind of part of the whole excitement of a new project coming out by an artist. And to have that, like I said, you've kind of taken us back, and it is kind of nostalgic in a way, because you don't see this much anymore. So it's beautifully done inside and out. The project itself,
well,
I mean, this is going to serve you well for a long time, and it's no surprise why it's getting so many rave reviews already. And well, let's talk a little bit about your career, because you, Darren, you've had such an extensive career, so successful, and and growing up in Canton, I mean, that part of the state is just so steeped full of mountain-type music and bluegrass. And was there ever any doubt in your mind that is the music that you would pursue? Did you ever think about doing anything else?
No, right off the bat, I wanted to be a rapper, but it just totally failed.
It just didn't work out, huh? Well, you got to explore and find your niche, right?
No, we were talking off the air earlier. When I grew up, my dad and my mom, they listened to bluegrass and traditional country music. In our household, Merle Haggard and Bill Monroe were like the same thing. There was no fight over, well, that's country or that's bluegrass. It was just music, and I think the thing that tied it all together, it was just music for the common people. And every night Dad would be like, hey, man, that's George Jones. That's great. And the next song would be the Osborne Brothers. He'd be like, man, that's Beneath Still Waters by the Osborne Brothers. That's great. And so that music is just, it's a part of me, and I've done different things in school and in high school and middle school. I was on a strings program, and we played classical music, orchestral music. I played violin. And then, like all kids do when you become a teenager, you sell all that and get electric guitar and want to be, Leonard Skinner or the Allman Brothers. And I did that for a little while, and I loved, Southern rock music. But then as I got older and I was about to graduate school, I kept coming back to bluegrass music, and that was the thing. The Osborne Brothers really influenced me a lot, because it was, the stuff they did in the 70s, it was bluegrass, but it was traditional country music as well, and it just kind of tied it all in together. And I knew, I was like, man, that's what I want to do. I want to play that kind of music because that it's just who I am. You know, growing up like this, it's just a way of life.
Oh yeah, it is indeed. And now, you know, having gone, I remember going to my first Bluegrass Festival, which has been some years back ago now, and I was just so blown away by the sheer raw talent of the musicians on stage. And, you know, Bluegrass is, I've always said it's the most real genre of music there is because you don't have a lot of bells and whistles in production. I mean, you have the studio element, but when you're playing live, you're playing live. You're not faking it till you make it kind of thing. I mean, it is real, it's raw, it's untapped. It's, you know, it's unplugged. It's great stuff. And, you know, and that, I had been to many, many concerts in my day, but it wasn't until I went to my first Bluegrass Festival that I really realize just how talented bluegrass artists are because, you know, you've got to really have it. I mean, you can't fake it up there on stage. You know, in traditional concerts, you know, you've got all this production going on behind the scenes to make a sound what it is, but bluegrass music is true and it's real, and it's unlike anything else out there. It just really, really got my attention. I think that's when I truly became a real diehard bluegrass fan, seeing it perform live, and there's just nothing like it in the world.
Well, you're exactly right. You know, Tim Surratt always says, I'm like, I ask him sometimes, excuse me, listening to records like the Stanley Brothers or Ralph Stanley with Keith Whitley and all those guys singing Cry from the Cross.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of rough in a way because it's not real produced and it's not real slick. And I'm like, Tim, I was like, that record is not really good, but it's great.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not real slick, but I can't help but love it. I get cold chills when I hear it. And I'm like, you know, we'd be riding down the road, and I'd be like, man, you know, it's so raw. It's like, you know, Dave Evans or Jerry Lee Lewis. It's so raw. And I'm like, man, why am I so drawn to that? And Tim says, Darren, he said, nothing sells better than the real thing.
That's exactly right.
Nothing better than that, and that's what it is. It's like it's so honest. It's so like even if there's flaws in it, it's just, you know, that just makes it more human. It's, you know, and you see guys today and their whole show is you know, a tan in bed and pyrotechnics and they're singing to a track. And you know, when you go see a bluegrass show, it's like, here's the real deal. These guys can play and sing, and this is what music should be about. And it's, you know, the music world has kind of turned into like professional wrestling. It's not, you know, it's almost more entertainment than it is music. And so, you know, bluegrass is still one of those forms of music. It's underground. It's like blues. It's like when you go hear B.B. King and it's like, oh my God, that is so great.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's not on the radio. It's not going to the masses, but it's the real deal. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to it, and that's why I love it so much.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, because I've been, you know, in radio for a while, and I've loved music my whole life, and I can tell you, you hit the nail on the head when you said that music today is more, especially mainstream music, is more, you know, entertainment based than anything else. I mean, the musicians don't necessarily have to be talented anymore, because a studio will make their voice sound incredibly good, and you know, we know that there have been those who have been accused of lip syncing. I mean, there's all kinds of magical, and I have a little air quotes going, if you will.
Dawn, let's not get carried away. If it wasn't for Pro Tools and the studio, I mean, I'd have probably quit about 10 years ago. The buzzards have been circling my career for a while, so let's not get too carried away.
Well, you know, I mean, there's only so much enhancement you can do, and I think that music fans in general, if someone is a diehard music fan, no matter if they're a rocker or if they're a country music fan or whatever, you cannot get around the bluegrass sound when you go to a bluegrass show, because, like you said, it is real. It's the real deal, and and people love that. People love that.
They love it. I love it. It's a feeling. You know, it's like when you listen to the original version of On and On by Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys with Jimmy Martin, and they come in there singing, you can tell they're all crowded around one microphone. There's not a bunch of stuff going on. There's not a bunch of production. It's just that good. It's just those guys are that good.
And it commands people's attention too.
It does. It still tears me up. Some of this music is 70 or 80 years old at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And it still is fresh to me, and it's new, and it's because of the feeling. It's because of what the energy and what they're selling it. They're pouring their hearts out to the fans and the music, and you kind of don't get that in a lot of commercial music anymore.
No, and the other thing, I think I'd be remiss if you and I didn't talk about this, but the other side of bluegrass music that I think really just attracts people to it, no matter the age, young, old, alike, is the whole camaraderie between the bluegrass artist community. As your album is a perfect example, because you've got so many different artists collaborating on this album with you, and there's just such a genuine, want to between artists in the bluegrass community to want to collaborate, to help one another, and it's not a competitive type genre as opposed to other genres out there. And the other facet is, it's not uncommon to go to a bluegrass festival or show, watch your favorite artist up there performing, and when they're done, come off stage and go out in the campground if it's at a festival and have a dinner meal with someone, a family. And
exactly.
Fans love that personal feel, between themselves and the artist. It's a real connector that you don't find in other styles of music.
Well, the artists are so accessible, and you don't have the egos, and you don't have a lot of things that go on with it. But you're exactly right. Like, part of the camaraderie is, most of the people in bluegrass believe in the same thing. Everybody's trying, we're all in the same boat. And, and I called Carl Jackson, and I was like, Carl, I got a record I want you to sing on. He's like, man, I ain't going to sing on anybody's record. He's like, man, you know me. He's like, yeah, I won't sing on anybody's record. He said, you don't even have to call and ask me. He said, when I know you're going to put a record together, I know it's going to be the kind of bluegrass and country that I'm going to want to sing on. He's like, don't even bother me. He's like, you just send me the tracks. He's like, and son, I'll sing on it and send it back to you.
Oh,
and
how cool.
That's the kind of thing, because it's like, you're around these people, and Carl's been one of my heroes for a long time, but when it comes down to it, we find out that we really love the same things. It's like, oh man, we have so much in common as far as music, and the other part of that, you're exactly right. You can't go to see Aerosmith and go have dinner with them somewhere.
No,
after
exactly.
The show. And that's what really connects, and that's my favorite part of playing music. It's not, we don't make fans, we make friends.
Yeah.
And they're people. It's a community. It's not a fan base. It's a community. When somebody needs something, we all chip in and help them. Or, it's like a family, and that's what's so beautiful about this to me.
Yeah, and I've often said, fans are people you don't know. Friends are there for life. Fans come and go.
Exactly.
But friends aren't going anywhere, and they will be some of your most loyal, people that will show up each and every time. And, within the bluegrass community, among the artists, that's kind of what it's all about too. It's friendships. It's not, you and a multitude of artists just all playing bluegrass. You guys have gotten to know each other. You played a lot of festivals together. Some of you are in bands together. It's, it just kind of goes hand in hand. And I tell you, listeners and fans of bluegrass music really get that. And I think that's what makes bluegrass so unique and special and appealing to folks everywhere because of that in itself. Aside from the fact that the music is just awesome,
Well, thank you so much. It's one of those things where you can tell when something is forced. There's people who've done records together over the years, and it's like, wow, that's the contractual obligation album. Those guys.
Yeah.
It's like.
So true.
You can tell when it's forced, and you can also tell when there's guys in there in the studio having fun. And I think that's one thing we captured on this record is just, you know, Steve and I have been friends for so long, and when Balsam Range isn't playing, you know, me and Steve and Kevin and Griff, we get together and do shows and are kind of around everybody's schedule because they all play in different bands, you know. But whenever we get together, it's just a bunch of old friends making music. I just happen to have friends that are the greatest musicians and singers in the world, you know.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You know, and so we just have fun with it. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes, you know.
And, you know, and the other great thing about bluegrass music that you don't find in any other genre except maybe gospel or contemporary Christian is the fact that you do not have all of the fluff, so to speak. You know, there's none of that drugs, alcohol kind of stuff. I mean, it's wholesome. It's, you know, your whole family can go to a show, and it's a great feeling of fellowship that just kind of takes over, you know, not only among the artists, but, you know, the family aspect. It's just great to have.
Well, you know, a bluegrass show is something you can take your kids to. I mean, you know, it's for everybody, you know. If you like to party and have a good time and you know, have drinks at your camper, well, you know, there's a lot of people that do that, but it never flows into, like, the whole scene. It's something that, you know, you can bring your kids to, you can bring your family to, and you know, most bluegrass artists will incorporate gospel music or one or two songs into their show, and that's one thing we've always tried to do with Balsam Range, and you know, I tried to do with this album is appeal to a wide variety of people. If you like traditional bluegrass, then we're going to do some traditional bluegrass. If you like traditional country music, then we're going to do that. If you like contemporary bluegrass, we'll do some of that. If you like, you know, some of it with a little rockabilly edge, you know, we recorded the old Marshall Tucker tune, Can't You See, and the Bluegrass Stomp, which was written in the 40s by Bill Monroe, but it's part of the reason he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because, you know, Bill Monroe was the first real rock and roller. You know, some of those swinging tunes he wrote in the 40s are like rock and roll staples.
Oh, yeah.
And we recorded one of those in there. And so there's something for everybody.
And that's, I think, one of the great things about your album because it does have a mass appeal. It's not, you know, it's not just situated to all traditional bluegrass fans. I mean, like you said, there's something for everyone. So no matter what your musical taste, it's going to appeal to the listener for sure. And it's just a great project, Darren. I mean, you've done such awesome. I think you've outdone yourself on this project for sure. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you've got upcoming because I know that you've got it. You know, you're touring and you know, of course, promoting the album at every turn. But what are some things where you know fans can get out to see you?
Well, this Friday, the 28th. Me and Steve and Kevin and Griff, we're going to do a CD release party in Marshall, North Carolina for the Madison County Arts Council. And my buddy Bobby Hicks is on the record. He's obviously one of the legendary fiddlers. But he lives in Madison County, and he doesn't live very far from the show. So, you know, I'm hoping he'll come out and play a little bit with us. But that particular area, especially, you know, with Laura Boosinger and some of those folks up there, they're really good about promoting mountain music and the traditional arts. And so we're going to be doing a show for the Madison County Arts Council. It's going to be a CD release party for this album this Friday, the 28th, in Marshall, North Carolina. And then I'm going to be returning to my hometown of Jackson County. The county seat is Silva, North Carolina, and it's where the county I'm originally from, and we're going to do a CD release party there on March 8th. And, of course, Balsam Range, it's just getting busier and busier and busier, and all those dates are at balsamrange.com, or you can see my schedule at darrennicholson.net. But it is a busy time, and just a lot of good things happening, and just staying motivated, and these guys are really keeping me busy. So if you get a chance, check out the websites and come see us.
Oh, that sounds awesome, and I certainly look forward to it. Now, is there any chance you're going to be at the IBMA this year? Oh,
yeah, we'll be back at the IBMA. And, Nashville, where we live in North Carolina, Nashville is a little bit closer than Raleigh, actually.
Yeah. I've been up to Selva before, and it's in that part of the state. You're right. It's a lot closer to Nashville than it is to Raleigh.
We're so far back out in the country, you got to go toward town to hunt. But no,
well, I've been
Nashville. I'm sorry. Go ahead, though.
No, I was just going to say I've been up in the mountainous region of Selva, and man, that is it's beautiful up there. Just beautiful country, but it is tucked away in the nooks and crannies of the state of North Carolina. It's hidden away in the mountains, is what I like to say.
We love IBMA, and we'll always support it, and we encourage you to support it, find out more about it. They do so much to help bluegrass music all over the world and help the music grow and support kids who are getting into it. There's a scholarship fund. It's just a great organization. For many, many years it was held in Kentucky, and then it moved to Nashville. And honestly, there will never be a better home for the award show than the Ryman. I always loved playing the Ryman, and growing up listening to the Grand Ole Opry, the Ryman is just so special. And but I have to say, Raleigh has really done the best job as far as rolling out the carpet for bluegrass music. Raleigh, North Carolina was where it was held in 2013. It's going to be back there in 2014. And, in Nashville, there's so much going on there, sometimes you become this week's event. The Americana Awards are right before the Bluegrass Music Awards, and Raleigh solely focused their attention on bluegrass music for a week. And there were so many young people out there and so many new faces. It just really helped. It gave the whole industry and the music a shot in the arm. And Raleigh did a great job. And we hope folks that come back out there in 2014.
Oh, I'm definitely going to try to be there myself. So look forward to it. And I'll tell you, Darren, you've got so much going on, and I'm excited for what this year is going to hold for you. Not only you, but Balsam Range, and Balsam Range is awesome too. I mean, you guys have done so many great things as a band, but parallels. I mean, you just continue to keep putting out great music, and that's what people love. And we definitely love your style of bluegrass, Balsam Range. I mean, it just goes hand in hand. So it's such an honor to speak with you and to play your music, and that of Balsam Range as well, and to just be able to support you guys, because you definitely need to be heard by the world, not just regionally but worldwide. You're that good. So I just want to wish you much continued success as you go forward, and I'm sure we will definitely be talking with you again as time goes forward.
Well, thank you. We couldn't do it without you, the folks that listen, the folks that buy albums, and the DJs who play it, like yourself, who get the music out there. It's a small community, and we all have to support each other, and you don't know how much we appreciate it, and we love you. And that's what makes us keep trying to go in the studio and make more music.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for making great music to give us something to do and something great, to promote. And so it is a hand-in-hand camaraderie for sure. Well, Darren, best of luck to you for much continued success. Give our best to the guys in Balsam Range, and we'll be looking for you out on the road.
Thanks, Dawn. I hope to see you there. We appreciate you.
All right. Take care and have a great night.
You too.
All right. Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. We've been speaking with Darren Nicholson. The latest album is called Things Left Undone. And I tell you, if you don't own this, you need to make a point to add this to your collection. This is a to-do for the list. And it is a great album. It's chock full of talent. As I said earlier, running down the list of special guests that appear on the album, it is a keeper. This is a keepsake. This is one that you'll not only play now, but you'll pull it out time and again, and you will play it over and over again because it's chock full of great music. And one of my favorite tunes on the album is the old Marshall Tucker tune, Can't You See? It's just a great. I love hearing any kind of Southern rock, or any song that was previously released done bluegrass style. It is great. I just love the remakes when bluegrass artists take that risk and put their own special spin on a song that's been previously released. And to me, in a lot of cases, I'm kind of partial to bluegrass, but I would say this even if I wasn't. I think the bluegrass remakes are done much better than the originals. Don't tell anybody I said that. But needless to say, you can check it out, Things Left Undone by Darren Nicholson. And as we close tonight, we're going to play a couple cuts off of this album just for your listening pleasure. But we want to say a huge thank you to Darren Nicholson for being our special guest. And also many thanks to all of you for tuning in and being here. We greatly appreciate it. And again, if you're brand new to our program, we're so glad that you stopped by and checked us out this evening. We're very glad to have you here. And we definitely will be back here again very soon. So with that, have a great night. Enjoy your week. I hope it's a great one. I hope it's blessed, and that we don't get the snow that they're talking about. So let's just boo his winter. But have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care all, and good night.
When your life is over and you're reaching the end, the river of Jordan is around the bend. Will you be counting all the trophies you've won? Or will you look back on things left undone? When a stranger came knocking, you let him in. Was there food on your table for down and out friends? Did you hide in the shadows? Did you walk in the sun? Or do you regret the things left undone? Somebody you cared for broke your heart. You let foolish pride, Lord, keep you apart. Why didn't you learn how to forgive someone? So many years past now, were things left undone. When a stranger came knocking, did you let him in? Was there food on your table for down and out friends? Did you hide in the shadows? Did you walk in the sun? Or do you regret the things left undone? When a stranger came knocking, did you let him in? Was there food on your table for a down and out friend? Did you hide in the shadows? Did you walk in the sun? Do you regret those Or do you regret things left undone?
You've been listening to Bluegrass Planet Radio. Find us on the web at bluegrassplanetradio.com, on Twitter at Bluegrass Planet, and on Facebook at Bluegrass Planet Radio. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening